I originally got into the field, when I was younger, I think in middle school and high school, I was able to volunteer with the special needs kids at my schools. And so as I kind of got older, I realized that I wanted to work with the special needs population, but I wasn't really interested in teaching in a classroom setting. And so when I moved to California in 2014, I actually saw this posting for a job, and it had all of the things. It checked all of the boxes of things that I wanted to do. So I wanted to work with children. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to serve my community. And through behavior analysis, I've been able to do that. So, it definitely has its own set of very unique challenges. One of the things that I was able to do, luckily, I got plenty of notice before our plans to relocate. And so I was able to, transition my clients to additional providers within my clinic that were able to take over so that they didn't lose any access to service. There was no lapse in service or anything like that. But it was always really hard because, I've worked with some of these kids for 4 or 5 years. And so having to relocate and not being able to continue servicing them myself and see all of their progress can be difficult. So that was probably one of the, I would say, the bigger challenges for me is just, you get that bond and that emotional attachment, and then having to assign them to someone else and move on. That's really tough. Absolutely. So in more urban or metropolitan areas, larger cities, services are a lot easier to come by. For those who are in remote or very rural communities, there really isn't a lot of options for providers that are qualified to provide services that these children or young adults need. And so it's definitely easier to come by these services in larger cities where there's, the population is larger. The infrastructure supports different types of, traveling by freeways, and, you can get places faster. So I've noticed personally that it's really difficult for people in those somewhat isolated communities to gain access to the services that they need in a timely manner, or if at all. Licensing reciprocity is really important for a lot of reasons. So starting with the military spouse's ability to continue to work and provide for their family, going to school for behavior analysis is a long, gruesome, expensive journey. There's a lot of time, effort, energy, and money, of course, put into this degree that you can use to make a difference and make an impact in people's lives. And so it's really unfortunate that when military spouses are relocated due to PCS or permanent change of station orders, that they have to worry about whether or not their license will be accepted, whether or not their education will be accepted. And that's really unfortunate because we have so many military spouses who have taken the appropriate coursework, they've passed certification exams, they've received licensure in the states that they lived prior, but they're now unable to practice if they go to a state that either doesn't offer reciprocity or that state doesn't recognize their certification. And so not only does it impact them and their family financially because they're not able to work, but it also impacts the amount of children or clients in that particular area that are able to access services. And, I'm sure wait lists across the country, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And that can be for a diagnosis. That can also be access to the ABA services. So when you have all of these providers that have the education, they have the experience, the knowledge, and the desire to help their community, and they're not able to because, again, there's no reciprocity or the certification isn't recognized, you're doing a disservice to both the military families and the communities that they serve. So when I first became a board member of QABA, I was a behavior analyst. I had passed my master's degree, I had received my certification, and I was working as a clinical supervisor in the clinic, home, and community settings. And so, I had experience with that direct care and that direct relationship with families, clients, things of that nature. But joining QABA really gave me a different perspective in terms of not only assisting a direct family, but servicing and trying to be the greater good for a variety of populations and communities. It was really important for me to be able to see how things work behind the scenes so that I was better able to advocate for my clients and the communities that we serve. The vision of QABA has always been and will continue to be increasing access to care for individuals that need it, that depend on it, to enhance, their quality of life. And I think our board in the next 5 years would ultimately like to see national recognition of our certification. We are internationally accredited by ANSI. We certify people all across the world, across 3 different levels, all the way from the United States to places like Jordan and India and Korea. We want all of our certificants and applicants who are interested in pursuing certification through QABA to feel confident in the certificates that they hold, and we want them to feel empowered when servicing their communities, and we want them to be able to make a difference for all of the individuals that come to them for this life-enhancing care. I think I have a lot of different types of experience, but to say that I know everything and the ins and outs of every single possibility or route or path is not accurate. I'm still learning a lot. We do have an international standards committee, and I do get a lot of perspective from people who live in other parts of the world. The way that we do things here in the United States is not necessarily the way that they do things in Brazil or Korea. And so it's really important to have an open mind and to be able to see the perspective of others who are actually living through these experiences that I personally have never been through before. The overall goal of QABA, as I said before, has been and will continue to be increasing the access to care. And in order to do that, we need to be able to continue to operate in a manner that is conducive for everyone, both in and outside of the United States, whether that means remote supervision, remote proctoring for exams, doing these things and being flexible on the modality of the way that these things are delivered is going to significantly increase the providers that are able to competently and confidently deliver these services. And it's also going to positively impact the communities that they serve, whether it's dissemination of ABA information, protocols, and procedures, whether it's the acceptance of neurodivergent individuals. The possibilities are endless. So in order to get a diagnosis, when you have any version of TRICARE, whether it be TRICARE Prime, Remote, Select, Standard, TRICARE for Life, the process can be a little difficult for some families to understand. So the first thing you need to do is receive an autism diagnosis. So you can speak to a developmental pediatrician, the primary care doctor. If they're unable to make that diagnosis, they can refer you to someone that is capable to conduct an assessment and ultimately make a diagnosis of autism if indeed they meet the criteria. After that, it's really important for families to get in touch with their EFMP program, which is Exceptional Family Members Program, at their installation. And so when you get in contact with the EFMP, what they do is they gather basic information from you about what services you're looking for, what diagnoses you may or may not have. And then from there, they get you all of the resources and information that you need in terms of who to contact, what services are available in your area, what providers are in your area that are in network with your insurance. And from there, the EFMP acts as sort of a liaison for you and any type of community resources or services that are needed and available. In the next 5 years, I expect and I hope that QABA is an industry leader within the field of applied behavior analysis.